And then we move to Ghana, where international banks have pledged to lend Ghana $1 billion for budget purposes and boost central bank reserves as the country seeks to cut its fiscal deficit and stabilize the currency. The West African nation raised $750 million through syndicated loans with the participation of about 8 African and European banks and $250 million from multilateral lenders, and who did not want to be identified. Well, we have to speak to us more about this. Professor John Gatsi is an economist and is in Accra, Ghana, to speak to us about the economic situation in the country now. We do know also that inflation was released last week at over 27%. Good afternoon, Professor Gatsi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So paint for us the reality of it. We see that inflation was released last week at 27.6%. Where does this show in the price of goods, of edibles, consumables, of commodities? Paint for us the picture in Ghana at this time.
Well, as indicated in the last interaction, prices are still very high. It is creating problem for businesses, individual households, and it's also creating problem for the government because government is not able to execute some of its plans because of price escalation. Materials for execution of projects have become a problem. And we are now recording very high level of inability to execute projects, very high level of accumulation of arrears as a result of this situation. But one important thing about the inflation figure is like reporting a past event. There are many events that have taken place which have not yet captured into the inflation momentum. And those things promises that inflation may continue to rise as we go to the next window of election period, announcing the inflation figures.
Yeah, so we now see that some international banks have pledged $1 billion to assist with financing the budget. Where does this help? How does this help, especially when we talk about the ordinary man in Ghana?
Well, all these issues are creating some kind of tension among parliamentarians and among those who are very close to finances in the country. Because in the first place, we record very high level of debt and creating the problems we are going through partly. So when we hear such amount of money coming on board, we ask ourselves whether it's coming to create more problem for the country or it's coming to resolve, especially on the back of the record that the Bank of Ghana keep indicating that our reserve situation is very robust. It can take us through 4.5 months of import cover. So if we hear that we are going to borrow to shore up the reserve, it seems to us that either there has been misreporting, inability to account very well, and that is what is ahead of the government to be able to clarify. And again, it is strange to Ghanaians to hear that some international banks want to contribute to capital formation of the country or to raise capital for execution of the budget to show up the reserve, but they are not willing for their name to be recognized. And that is very strange to Ghanaians. So I think the finance ministry ought to come very clear, because for Parliament to approve such borrowing, those who are lending ought to be known, the rate at which, the purpose, any form of condition that is attached to those borrowing ought to be disclosed. So I think we will wait for the next days to come to see whether Parliament will do the right, the finance ministry will do the right thing to clarify and let Ghanaians know that.
All right, Prof, just before we let you go, I know these are part of the reasons why you've had that Fix the Country protest. And the protesters have been really persistent. Have they gotten what they want? Are they off the street now? Are there talks going on?
Well, I think there have been many attempts to be on the street to carry out other kinds of demonstration. But I believe the police have become excessively active in stopping people to participate in this demonstration. They continue to do their work on the social media. Those of them who have opportunity on mainstream media are able to articulate their views. And that is what is going on in the country. And there are developments in the country that is fueling all those things. When we are talking about e-levy, that was the time that we were experiencing expenditures that the people believe that are not supposed to be the case. As we are discussing the economic difficulty, this is the time that Ghanaians are realizing that about 200 million Ghana cedis have been so far released for what they call the National Cathedral, which many Ghanaians don't think is the right choice at the time.
Mm. Well, I guess we all have to talk about our country and find ways to resolve the issue from the leadership to the followership. Thank you so much, Professor John Gatsey, economist in Ghana, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.